pleasure to welcome all of you tonight to this very special reunion celebrating 20 years of the Holtzman twins NICU. Tonight we honor 2 decades of extraordinary care and the people who make it possible. Our program tonight brings together people from PeaceHealth leadership, our capable and compassionate caregivers, members of the clergy, and families who will share their story of health and healing. The NICU is more than a unit in the hospital. It's a place where miracles happen every day, as we saw today at the picnic with all of those wonderful, beautiful children. Families find strength and tiny beginnings grow into bright futures at the NICU. Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for your continued support of this excellent mission.
God of mercy and compassion, we give thanks for the 20 years of healing and hope in this sacred place. May Christ's love continue to shine through the hands and the hearts of those who serve here.
Baruch atah Adonai. Blessed are you, source of life. We are grateful for the gift of skilled caregivers, for the strength of parents, and for the precious lives entrusted to this NICU. May peace, shalom, dwell within those walls.
Gracious God, we celebrate the miracles of survival and growth, and the devotion of nurses, physicians, and staff. May your Spirit sustain them with wisdom, courage, and compassion as they walk beside the smallest and vulnerable among us. The invitation was to let the little children come to me.
And in the spirit of PeaceHealth mission, we carry on the healing mission of Jesus Christ, promoting healing, relieving pain and suffering, and treating each person with love and care. We bless every child who enters with hope, every parent with courage, and every caregiver with strength. May this place remain a sanctuary for healing, a beacon of compassion, and a testimony of God's enduring love.
From the very beginning and to this day, the Sisters of St. Joseph of Peace have made care of women and children one of our focuses in our ministry endeavors. Such endeavors in this ministry of PeaceHealth. So with great joy and gratitude that the Sisters of St. Joseph of Peace join in celebrating this 20th anniversary with the Holtzman Twin NICU Ministry. The compassionate, exceptional care that our PeaceHealth caregivers give to these most tiny and vulnerable patients and their families is an expression of the mission of the Sisters on steroids. We thank God for this innumerable blessing that has been bestowed on all people, the babies, the families, and the caregivers that have been touched by this ministry in these 20 years. And we ask the giver of all of life to shower blessings of abundance on caregivers and all who receive the care here today and into the future. As Scripture states, Rejoice and give thanks, for this is the day that the Lord has made.
So I wanted to just say, just that small word. In Judaism, numbers always have meanings outside of just the number itself. Every Hebrew letter is also a number. So the Hebrew letter for the number 20, for 20 years, right, is a kaf. Now, in the world of letters, it's just a letter. It's not a big deal about it. But the word kaf also means the palm of your hand. So when you see it, it's an open hand, essentially. And I was thinking how perfect that moment, that word is for this moment. That not only, of course, when we think about philanthropy and we think about building, it's what you do, right, is with an open hand. That's the whole point of it. But also, for the NICU, how one of the most impactful ways that these babies are cared for, babies who are struggling, is to be touched and to be held and to be loved. And so that felt like just the exact right symbol in this moment of 20 years of giving and caring, sharing love through touch with each other. And to thank you to the two of you for offering that opportunity for all of us in this room to also give love in that way and to reach out with our hands towards each other. So thank you for all of that.
My name is Laura Walton. I have the honor of being the manager of spiritual care at PeaceHealth for the Columbia Network. And David asked me to share a couple of my NICU stories. Decades ago, before the NICU at Southwest opened, I was born and shipped across the river to OHSU. It was quite the experience for my parents. In fact, in conversation with them, they're saying, oh, we wouldn't have gotten to spend the time we did with you if we didn't have friends and family to help care for my older brother. And it was quite the journey for them. So the gift of the NICU here in Vancouver provides such a ministry to the families and the parents of those that live in Southwest Washington, not having to make that trek across the river. Now, fast forward another few decades. I had a little one. My water broke at 29 weeks, and I was hospitalized for 11 days. They wanted to keep him in for a lot longer, but he had other plans. So he was born on October 11th. He reminds me daily right now that his birthday is coming up. He was born at 30 and 5 weeks, and man, that little man struggled. I know if it wasn't for the expert care of the nurses and the doctors, the phenomenal technology, my little one wouldn't be around today. He wouldn't bring joy to the world that he is today. And also, I probably wouldn't be here today because it was sitting by his little isolette, watching him struggle to live, that I really felt my calling to chaplaincy. I knew that I was called to journey with people in hard places in the hospital. And that really changed the trajectory of my life. So the NICU has been a place that's, one, kept me alive, two, kept my child alive, and three, really shaped a direction for my life where I have just the joy and pleasure, and I get to do this incredible work every single day. So thank you all.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Sarah Ness. I'm PeaceHealth's new incoming president and CEO. First, I'd like to say thank you to David for inviting Joe and me to join you and Patricia and so many remarkable friends this evening. We are truly honored to be here among people whose generosity shaped not only the future of PeaceHealth, but the lives of countless families, including mine. As I step into my new role, I've been reflecting on the journey that brought me here. I realize that journey has been shaped by acts of so much kindness and vision from people like you. Even early in my profession, I dreamed of building a purpose-driven career. Little did I know that Southwest Washington Medical Center would become the haven where both dreams could take root. When I was pregnant with my first child, I was blessed that the Patricia Nuremberg Early Learning Center opened just 1 month before his birth. Call it serendipity, call it divine intervention, or call it what it truly was, the uncommon generosity of extraordinary people. That beautiful nurturing care center became the glue that kept me at Southwest and the foundation for what is now more than 2 decades at PeaceHealth. And I am only one of thousands whose personal and professional journeys have been made possible because of your vision. I believe PeaceHealth is first and foremost a ministry in the sacred work of healthcare. And as the guardian of this 135-year ministry and leader of 17,000 caregivers, 80% of whom are women, I know firsthand how critical it is to have the support for both our professional and personal lives while ensuring we continue to evolve the ministry. That's why over the next 3 years, we will work together to transform PeaceHealth to be person-first, value-driven, and highly trusted. To achieve this vision, we will deepen the connections with our communities. And this starts with the office of the CEO. We will evolve our operating model to deliver seamless, integrated, and more accessible healthcare for all. And we will modernize our technology, mature our service lines, and deliver value with each care experience. Tonight, as we celebrate the Holtzman twin NICU, I think of every newborn who enters this world. And my hope is that each has the opportunity to live the life of their dreams. You make that hope possible. To whom much is given, much is expected. And you, David and Patricia, have shown us the power of boundless brilliance, fierce conviction, and a deep compassion in service to others. I am one of the many who have been blessed by it. Thank you for giving so generously of yourselves and for making PeaceHealth not only a place of healing, but a place of hope. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting us here, David and Patricia Nuremberg, and thank you to everyone here tonight supporting the mission of PeaceHealth Southwest. Last April, we had our 3rd baby at the Family Birth Center at PeaceHealth Southwest Medical Center. The birth was wonderful. The nurses were so helpful and everything couldn't have gone more smoothly. Our little Lottie Mae was born and was beautiful and perfect. She is the 3rd of our 3 little redheads. And you wouldn't know it now, but they do get their red hair from him. But about an hour after the birth, everything changed in the blink of an eye. For those at the hospital, I'm sure it was just another day like any other, but it quickly became one of the scariest days of our lives. What should have been just a calm, quiet morning to rest with our beautiful new baby was quite the opposite, as they told us that I was experiencing a postpartum hemorrhage. The rest of it was a bit of a blur to me, so I'll turn over the next details to my husband, Daniel.
So Jamie was about to get up after giving birth, and she voiced to the nurse that she did not feel right, and you could see it on her face. She was white as a sheet. The healthcare workers operated quickly and efficiently. They didn't have panic in their voice like I did. But they worked with urgency to make sure that Jamie was cared for. They separated into 3 separate teams, and it seemed like we had 1 nurse in our room in 1 minute, and then the next minute we had 6 nurses, a nurse practitioner, and 2 anesthesiologists or 2 surgeons in the room in the blink of an eye. And they made sure that Jamie stayed healthy. Because of their expertise and the facility that we were in, we walked out of that experience with our family intact, and an insurmountable appreciation for healthcare workers and the care that they gave to my beautiful wife, and to our baby Lottie.
We are just so grateful for the Nurembergs and their investment into the Vancouver area to ensure that mothers are cared for, that babies are healthy, and that when faced with emergency situations, that the Family Birthing Center is able to provide the best possible outcome for families like ours and all others. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Cindy Callahan. I'm the NICU manager at the Holtzman NICU that David has blessed us with. I've been at PeaceHealth for 33 years this month. I celebrate an anniversary. My love and my heart has always been in women and children's services. I started in pediatrics, went to labor and delivery, and then eventually came to the NICU. And with Melanie's help, I became the manager. And so we've really been blessed. We started out 20 years ago as a level 2 NICU, and that might not mean a whole lot to any of you, but prior to that, we could not keep a baby at Southwest that was under 36 weeks. They all had to be transferred across the river. And as Dr. Struxness and I were talking about, at that point, we were doing about 300 to 400 deliveries a month. We were the only hospital in Vancouver. So that impacted a lot of our families in Vancouver that couldn't get the services that they needed at Southwest. Fast forward, we developed we had a level 2 NICU that we were blessed with, and what that means to us is babies that were born down to 32 weeks or 8 weeks early, we could care for them in their community. They didn't have to go across the river on the I-5 bridge, spend that time in traffic. So they were able to stay in their own community and be with their baby. We were also one of the few NICUs that had single room care, so we didn't have a lot of beds in the NICU. We had individual rooms where the parents could stay in the room with their baby. In 2010, we actually went to a level 3 NICU, which meant we could take babies that were even born earlier. Fast forward to today, last year we went down to being able to take babies that are born 4 months earlier. And so that's amazing. They're about the size of my hand. And for myself, when I held a baby in my hand that was that small, it was surreal. I couldn't believe I was doing it. But we do that, and they have amazing outcomes with the help of a lot of the resources that we're blessed with. We have a music therapy program that Angie's going to talk about here in a few minutes that's funded through the foundation. And then we have the follow-up clinic. And for a NICU our size, that's a really unusual thing to have. But again, keeping people close to home, serving them in their own community. So that's where our goal is, that's where our heart is, and we appreciate all of you. I'll have Angie talk about music therapy, and then we'll have Jamie talk about the follow-up clinic.
I'm gonna read this, otherwise it will be an hour later. You're like, tell me more stories. My name is Angie Kopshai, and I'm so happy and grateful to be here with all of you. And I am a NICU specialized music therapist working here at PHSW. And first, just the short version of what is music therapy. It is the evidence-based use of music to achieve non-musical goals. So within the NICU, we primarily use our voice, the guitar, and the ocean disc, or it's like an ocean drum. Because our infants in the NICU are fragile, music therapists obtain specialized training for the use of music in the NICU. This helps us understand our infants' behaviors and adapt our music therapy sessions to provide safe and ethical music therapy for each patient's individual's needs. The program here at PHSW started when our amazing community donors and high school students at Union High School worked together to raise funds to create a music therapy program. And now, 10 years later, We have grown to 100 hours per month, and this program has become one of the first of its kind in the Portland, Vancouver area. I feel very lucky. So here in our NICU, we use music to benefit babies and their families in many different ways. We provide procedural support to help decrease infants' pain, and music therapy can also stabilize vitals, increase neurodevelopment, promote language development, decrease caregiver and stress, anxiety, and increase bonding and attachment. We also use music therapy to develop positive feeding experiences with our infants, which can help babies to continue eating for longer periods of time and take more volume, and a lot of times go home sooner. All of this amazing work continues to be done through the support of generous donors like you. And I wanted to share feedback from just a couple families. So the first quote I have: "My daughter wouldn't have taken her bottle as quickly without it and made it to where she could leave 3 weeks earlier than planned. I cannot say enough of how beneficial music therapy program is." And the second quote: "This was one of the best things about being in this NICU. I would recommend this hospital to people based on this program. It was a key player in helping to keep my stress and anxiety down during this crazy ride." So at PHSW, we hope to continue this work and make this hospital the home of one of the strongest NICU programs in the Pacific Northwest.
Hi, my name is Jeannie Farber. I am the program manager for what's called the GAP Clinic. So that stands for graduate. So all of our little tiny babies are already graduates when they leave the NICU. And it's our job at Follow-Up Clinic to follow those babies to make sure that they're developing properly and they're getting everything that they need. For those of you who don't realize, it is pretty darn unusual to have a follow-up clinic for a community hospital. Larger university hospitals have specialties and other programs that help absorb the cost of a follow-up clinic. So because of the generosity of David and Patricia and the Children's Council, we're able to have that program. So it's pretty incredible. I do have other community hospitals calling me on occasion and saying, "How do you do it?" And I say, "We have support, we have generous donors." And they say, "You're incredibly lucky," and I agree. Babies who are premature have long-term needs, and we at Clinic have the expertise to look out for them as they grow. That could be physical or occupational therapy. That could be hearing tests, vision screening, referral to neurology. It might be like, "Hey, where do you live? Hey, here's a great preschool you might want to check out, a good play park. You live near an awesome playground. Go outside, get fresh air. Tantrums are hard, but here's some ideas for you." It might be a website or an app, but often in addition to all of these things, what these parents need the most is when we say to them, "This is a lot. You're doing great. You're a great mom. You're a great dad. And you're doing so well." And it's extraordinary to see the look on someone's face when you tell them that and how it changes. So, some of our babies. D is a little guy whose mom has autism. He was born early and his screening picked up some asymmetries, meaning one side is weaker than the other. Mom was so on point about bringing this little guy and doing her homework. He came to bridge therapy with our physical therapist, Angela. I'm gonna have Angela stand up so you can see. Angela is our physical therapist. And so Mom was, despite her autism, she was very concentrated on helping this little guy. And at his next appointment, he was standing and walking and pulling himself up and doing fantastic. And we told her how well she had done, and she actually smiled, which was quite an achievement. It was a big deal. E was a little guy who had moved from pediatrician to pediatrician because of insurance. And when we had tracked him down, I had his name, couldn't find him, couldn't get a referral because he hadn't seen a doctor. And we finally found him, and they came in, and it was clear from his neuro exam that this little guy had cerebral palsy. And our neurologist was very ginger and talked to mom and talked her through it and made a couple of phone calls and got baby in for an expedited appointment with a neurologist. Now, if we hadn't tracked that baby, that's a baby that could easily have fallen through the cracks. So that's another thing that follow-up clinic is vital in following babies that just fall through the cracks and aren't seen or are overlooked in a typical pediatrician visit. Lastly, A is a full-term baby who was exposed to opiates in utero. Baby had some motor problems and hypertonia, which is like tight muscles, when he was in the NICU and was referred to follow-up clinic. We were able to see this baby for physical therapy soon after discharge, which was great. Angela gave mom some very simple guidance for exercises for the baby. Very simple, because mom's first job at this point in time is her sobriety. And today I'm gonna cry. I saw that same mom at the reunion, and she was so proud, stating she has been doing everything and is looking forward to bringing him back so we can see how well he's doing. So when I talk about GAP, I always say it is good work done well. But after talking to so many families today, I think we often, and I speak for all of us in the NICU, I think we often don't realize the work that we do can and does change the trajectory of a baby's life. It's so important. And I'm so proud to live in a community that recognizes and supports baby, mom, and family, and the babies that we see, the families that we see day in and day out, because they won't always be babies. They will be your kid's teacher, your teenager's best friend. They will be your Uber driver. They will be your senator. And they will be the person sitting next to you. So it matters, and there's more work to do. Thank you.
That was amazing. And before I start, could we just see all the caregivers, past, present, physician, clinicians, could you just stand for a minute? Thank you. I, of course, believe all our caregivers are amazing, but I have to say it takes a special kind of heart and soul to take care of these very vulnerable babies and their patients. So good evening. I'm Sherelle Montani. I'm the Chief Hospital Executive for PeaceHealth Southwest, and it really is a privilege being here with all of you today to celebrate the last 20 years and, of course, the future. Nelson Mandela once said, "There can be no keener revelation of society's goal than the way it treats its children." That said, having a level NICU here in our community is more important than ever. The challenges we are facing today are absolutely increasing, especially during these uncertain times. It's concerning that access to care during pregnancy and during the time of birth is no longer consistently available, even here in our own region. And we know early and regular prenatal care is an important strategy for reducing pregnancy complications and preterm birth. The one constant we have is our level 3 NICU, providing specialized medical care and services such as you just heard about, the music therapy program, the graduate assistant program that provides care from birth to age 3. These are unbelievable gifts to our entire community. Now, I want to talk about earlier today. I had the privilege of being at the reunion, and I had the pleasure of seeing dozens of children on the move, right? Smiling and laughing, whether it was bubbles or getting their face painted, and their parents so proud, and everybody talking, becoming part of an entire community. And my favorite interaction today was a young girl. I couldn't quite get her name badge. She was maybe 4 or 5, and she was telling me all kinds of wonderful things, of course. But what she told me was she was a baby here. And then she said, "I'm special." We want every child to feel special. And what happened today helped her feel special. And that was the best part. And you all made that happen. Thank you.
Well, I wrote this morning before witnessing what Sherelle was just talking about, and so in a way, I've been overtaken by events because it was a pretty special day to see 400 guests and probably over 100 babies, and talk to so many of the families and hear their stories, and think about the parallels between what they've lived through and what my mother and godmother lived through. Really tangible proof, positive about what all the people here as donors and service providers and friends have accomplished. Really special. So I want to thank our guests tonight, our event planners and servers from the AC Marriott. Special thanks to Katie Dart, who has organized this thing beyond perfection this evening. And I want to thank our NICU doctors, nurses, staff, and donors. We want to thank our dear friend Jeannie Furstenberg for the beautiful flowers on everyone's table. And I want to thank Patricia for being my partner in crime. And I want to thank our children for their services to the NICU and to the other healing philanthropies that they are involved with as well. It is hard to believe that on November 18th, the NICU will have served this community for 20 years, healing and helping over 4,500 babies and 28,000 mothers. At the very same time that around the country, other hospitals are cutting back on birthing centers and NICUs, while we continue to grow and improve from strength to strength, propelled by the mission you've heard Sarah and Sherelle talking about, by the culture of innovation and caring that Cindy talked about, and by generosity from those of you in the room. Almost everyone here this evening has heard too many times me tell the miraculous story of the survival of the Holtzman twins, born at home to immigrant parents in rural New Jersey in 1928, never hospitalized, weighing a grand total of 4 3/4 pounds between them. On their behalf, and behalf of their 27 descendants, we express our profound gratitude to God for blessing them, to Dr. Richardson for saving them, and for our grandparents for for learning how to care for them in their home. Immigrants only 20 and 25 years old, newcomers to rural Norwood, New Jersey of 1 month, and entrepreneurs who were launching a small grocery store on the eve of the Great Depression, strangers in a strange land. When I compare 1928 Norwood, New Jersey to America today, I am deeply grateful for the kindness of strangers. The local telephone operator my grandfather called that morning to help them find a doctor, because they'd only been in the community a month and they didn't have one yet. And she called down to Englewood Hospital, 10 miles south, rather than calling ICE to report the presence of aliens in Norwood. I never heard whether Dr. Richardson asked my grandparents where they came from, whether they were documented or naturalized, whether they were Christian, or, of course, whether they had insurance. Rather, Dr. Richardson arrived in time to catch my Aunt Sue, who weighed 2¼ pounds and was breathing. And the first thing he said to my grandparents was, "Do you have a cemetery plot?" And before they could continue that morbid discussion, he looked at my grandmother and said, "You're about to have another one." 8 minutes later, my mother arrived, 2½ pounds. So clearly, Dr. Richardson, and I don't know his first name yet, so when I retire next year, one of my first research projects will be to find that out and see if we can find his descendants so we can thank them for our existence. He was clearly healing and mission driven. And he came to my grandparents' home every day until they were out of danger to teach them how to take care of these little girls who were never hospitalized. Sadly, flaws of human nature demonstrate ineradicable prejudice against people who happen to be different in any sort of ways. And before we pat ourselves on the back, think about the history of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Started in about 1620, and how it was only a few years in existence before dissenters were exiled to places like Rhode Island and Connecticut. So we have a 4th-century history of treating people who are different in a different way. I don't even need to talk about current events. In the mid-1700s, an American founder that we all revere, Benjamin Franklin, raged about immigration of Germans into Pennsylvania. Raged and wanted to end that. Think about the ancestors of Marilee Murphy, whose families, many of whom came over during the potato famine, or the Kellers, in the mid-19th century when they were starving to death, and how many Americans complained about the invasion of Catholics. And then in 1892, when Ellis Island was opened, many more Americans complained about the influx of Eastern European Jews, Southern Italians, Greeks, Turks, and Armenians. I'll tell you something ironic about the history of the 3rd Congressional District of our state. There was a congressman from this district from 1917 to 1933 by the name of Albert Johnson. And this is what Albert said about my Jewish people: filthy, un-American, and often dangerous in their habits. I resemble that remark. In 1924, he persuaded the Congress to radically limit immigration from nations he did not like. One consequence of that was that my grandfather's cousin, who wasn't paying as much attention to American immigration law, couldn't get in as a result of that and settled in Cuba. So that lucky man was able to flee communism twice in his lifetime. Continuing even to current events, and then I'll stop about this. As you know, there's a case before the Supreme Court regarding what's called birthright citizenship. And what that means in plain language, and that plain language is in the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, by the way, that a baby born in the United States to alien parents is nonetheless an American citizen. I don't know whether Aaron Holtzman was an American citizen in 1928. That's another thing I want to research. What if he wasn't? What would that make my mother? What would that make me? What would that make our children? I don't want to think about that, because unless you're a Native American, all of us come from somewhere else. So the nation today, once again, is split between haters and healers. And the way I want to leave you is with some thoughts about this question. What can we who are self-confessed healers do about this? Because as we often say to each other, we feel that this community here is a city on a hill, the proverbial city on a hill. So what can we do to preserve and protect that and the values that support it? Well, one thing, and this is something that Jamie did while she was in the house, and something that Marie does too, is we can practice kindness and empathetic listening and be less judgmental about those with whom we disagree and more compassionate. And we can reach across the aisle to make friendships that will endure and make us better, because that is what community servants and healers do. And beyond that, and more particular to why we're here tonight, you can help us keep our wonderful NICU thriving and innovating by supporting its staff and programs. And third, you can help us complete the funding for our new emergency room project and the community health hub above it. Karen, are we within $345,000 of completing that? So we are 99.5% done. So that's nearly done. And we can support the two CEOs that you heard from today in their mission. And I'm going to conclude by talking about things that we can do, each of us, as volunteers. Because these, to me, are the broader lessons of our NICU. Our two daughters and their friends volunteered in the NICU while they were in Union High School. Some of us, older ones, volunteer to serve on the hospital's investment committee. Richard Keller and I and Thea do that. Many of us have, and Ron was on that too. Many of us have served on the hospital's governing and foundation boards. And many of us are involved with mentoring the next generation of community healers, which is something that several of us in the room, like Kim Capilotto and Mark Mathias, benefited greatly from your father. And so many other people in this community, so many women, benefited the same way from your mother. As I think about the wonderful mentors I've had, certainly Ed Lynch among them, and also in this community, Bill Fromhold, and Ira Milstein, my rabbi of board governance, and venture capitalist Tom Perkins, and literally dozens of others who mentored me. All of them are gone now, except for Mitt, God bless him, who's happy and healthy at 78. I cannot pay back my deceased mentors, but I certainly can and do pay my gratitude to them forward by mentoring other healers and leaders. And many of them, who I call my dementees, are with us here this evening. Jacob Nierenberg. As I call your name, please stand up, because some of you are here. Matt Dietrich, over here. Alexandra Bradford. Stay up, stay up, stay up. Stay up, Jacob. Matt Walsh. Kim Capilotto-Berg. Korosh Zamani. Patty Keller. Ian Jameson. And in absentia, Rick Takash and Albert Angelo. But did I forget anybody? Damon Benedict. This is what we do. And they're already doing the same thing. So thank you. Thank you, thank you. Let's continue practicing mentorship together, because as JFK said in his inaugural address in January 1961, and I quote, and many of us remember watching this live, "The torch has been passed to a new generation. Proud of our ancient heritage and unwilling to permit the slow undoing of those human rights to which this nation has always been committed and to which we are committed today." In the Jewish tradition, we have a belief which is called Tikkun Olam. And that belief tells us that our purpose in life is repairing the world. Repairing the world. One of its leaders, Rabbi Schneerson, said this, and Karen, I think you put these words in the ED on the wall. "If you see what needs to be repaired and how to repair it, then you have found a piece of the world that God has left for you to complete. But if you only see what is wrong and what is ugly, then you yourself is the one that needs repair." Similarly, the Talmud says, "Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Do justly now. Love mercy now. Walk humbly now. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it." And the last word on the subject comes from a Catholic sister. Mother Teresa said, "If I look at the Mass, I will never act. If I look at the one, I will." Dr. Richardson and my grandparents didn't look at one, they looked at two. But thanks to them and God, the Holtzman twins survived, and their descendants now number 27 of us. And God willing, there will be more. Thank you for joining us tonight to celebrate their miracle and to drive it forward. Amen.
Thank you, David. As we close this special evening, I want to thank all of our speakers for sharing their time, their stories, their wisdom, and their strength with us tonight. Some of them traveling great distances to be with us tonight, so thank you. A very special thank you goes to our dynamic duo, David and Patricia, true philanthropic rock stars for our community. On your tables, you'll find envelopes for those interested in making a gift this evening. I'm happy to announce that the Keller Foundation is committing $50,000 toward the efforts. We invite each of you to join us in giving what you can to help us reach our goal of $200,000. Your generosity will ensure that the Holtzman twins NICU continues to support families for years to come. Thank you so much for being here tonight and for sharing this important milestone celebration with all of us. Good night.